Welcome back to the Hockey Show, and tonight we are recapping game number 1 between the Boston Bruins and the Toronto Maple Leafs, and the game just ended like 20, 30 minutes ago, and this was a fun one to watch. Game 1 did not disappoint, but it also was exactly what I expected, and I'm just going to forewarn you, if you are a Toronto Maple Leafs fan, you are not going to be the happiest person by the time at the end of this video, because the Boston Bruins 5-1 victory this game was an absolute just kind of perfect metaphor for this Bruins team versus the Maple Leafs, and apparently just the longevity between these two teams and their rivalry, because the Bruins are now on a 8-game consecutive win streak against the Maple Leafs, stretching from playoffs, regular season, to this game being game number 8 as the win. And it is not a surprise, because this team just is bulldozing the Toronto Maple Leafs. And the Maple Leafs look up to the Bruins everything that they wish they were, with like a top goal scorer like David Pastrnak to Austin Matthews, to like the dynamic like two-way forward in like Brad Marchand is, towards like probably like more like John Tavares, maybe more like William Nylander, and then the defensive side of things, the depth, like it was everything for Boston. And this was a showing that Boston really needed to have. Because I feel like a lot of people underrate a team like Boston sometimes when like so much like fun and energy goes into a team like Toronto or a team like New York. And to me, Boston really made a statement tonight. And this was a huge win for the Bruins. Absolutely dominating win against the Maple Leafs, and showing like not even an inch. They didn't give an inch to their enemy tonight. In the 5-1 win, the goals were from Beecher, Brandon Carlo, 2 goals from Jake DeBrusk, who was an absolute madman tonight. And I usually when a player has a couple points, sometimes people are just a little bit over exaggerating with it, but DeBrusk really was a man on a mission tonight. He was driving the net with one of his goals with a tip and goal on the power play. He was just standing there his ground, not giving an inch to get this tap on the puck. And then his other goal was super sweet as well. Trent Frederick buries the open net goal for goal number 5. David Kampf gets one past Jeremy Swayman, and oh my god, I'm just going to talk about him first. For the Bruins, number 1 star of the game, even though DeBrusk was fantastic, has to go to Jeremy Swayman. Swayman was incredible tonight. He did not give an inch to the Maple Leafs. And that's one of the big things that a solid goaltender can do for you. And we saw it with Bobrovsky last playoffs, and guys like Aiden Hill and Laurent Brossoit. When you have a goaltender who can just shut down all the big attempts for a team, because sometimes, and you saw it with the Bruins, right? In the first period, the Bruins were just over and over again dominating, getting shot after shot, just going after the team, pushing the puck down the throat of Toronto, making them have to survive in their own end the entire first period. And I think they hit the post at least twice, and maybe 3 times, and they were that close to scoring one on Samsonov right in front of the net. His legs were wide open. They just couldn't get that one tap in. And it's just those kind of saves where a guy like Samsonov, he doesn't eat the puck, right? The puck comes at him in that one save where his ass was right to the camera. It was right on his pad, and he just didn't eat it up to begin with. It's those kind of plays that Swayman don't allow, where Swayman is all over, just eats the puck. The shot from Matthews at the beginning of the game where he went through the defenseman, got that little trick, the chip shot upwards. Swayman just gloves it down, right? Instead of it goes instead as an example, Samsonov in this game, if it was Pastrnak going the other way, right? That little chip shot, instead of gloving it down, what Samsonov would have done was it hits his shoulder, which then goes in the air. He has to back up. The Bruins get to attack the net and cause some chaos, right? Swayman the other way was just boom, done with that play, not letting anything get past him, right? And it was just that over and over again tonight. Matthews couldn't get anything going. And the Maple Leafs had to be very panicky tonight, because the Boston Bruins, they had everything going for them. Thanks to Jeremy Swayman for one, because the Maple Leafs tried some offense. They tried to get some stuff in there, but it just was not working for them. And they were playing some very high-paced shifts sometimes, but Swayman just eats it up. And then the likes of like Lindholm and McAvoy were just shutting, and Carlo Grishalik too, were shutting down some good plays by the Toronto Maple Leafs and just like not really allowing anything to truly develop in front of the net. And you can see them doing some trick plays trying to get stuff to go, but just like some cheap shots and like bad angles by the Bruins were just really knocking them down. And speaking of knocking them down, the physical play by the Bruins, right? This game had 100 hits in it. They had 100 hits total. And that is kind of crazy, because, like, thinking about these two teams, sure, the Bruins, we all think of them as, like, a beady, like, just madhouse team that's going to go knock the hell out of another team, right? But the Maple Leafs, I don't think a lot of us really see them as a punching back team. And it did show this game, where you could tell that the Maple Leafs were trying to fight back, right? Try to be bruiser as well, but the Beantown boys were just knocking the hell out of the Maple Leafs. When it came to Maroon and McAvoy and Lindholm and Trent Fred, like just some big guys on this team, they were going down the ice and just like I mean, I'm sure you saw it. I'm sure you either saw a reel of it or you saw a short of it or something. But the hit by Maroon onto Liljegren into the Bruins bench was hilarious. And it just kind of really encapsulated the game, where the Bruins were just winning every form of competition, whether it was physical, offense, defense, goaltending. Every aspect of this game, the Maple Leafs just lost everyone, including the power plays, mainly because they didn't have too many. But the Bruins, they just kept getting handed them. I think they had 5 tonight. They scored on 2 out of 5 of them. And it wasn't surprising. The Bruins just had all the momentum going for them. Nothing could go the other way for the Maple Leafs. And they just felt non-threatening towards the end of it. And mainly because of Jeremy Swayman, I would say, and just the good defense to not really give them that good of an angle against Swayman. But the times he did, he just gobbled everything up. And for the Maple Leafs, they just couldn't get anything going. They really just could not settle in the offensive zone and just stay in there, get the puck to the point, back down to, like, get the puck down to Marner, who makes a play, sidestep up the wall, feed it to, like, Matthews in the middle, one-timer, and it would be, like, short sides would be off the glove, it'd be hard for him to get it, maybe a rebound pops out, keep the play going, right? Never got any of that kind of stuff, but you know who did? The Boston Bruins. That was all their game. They would go into the offensive zone, and sure, the Maple Leafs had more shots than the Bruins did. But sometimes that's not a teller of who's having a better offensive night, who's being more threatening, right? That kind of shows you just the run and gun kind of play that the Maple Leafs had to live through. Instead of going down to the offensive zone and get Matthews, try to set him up for a good just wrist shot on net, right? Try to get him in to get a snapshot in the slot or anything like that. They couldn't get those plays to go. Instead, the game consisted mainly of just going down the ice, feeding the puck, trying to get it to the slot, and a guy like Domi would get like a tiny tip or try to like get it, remove it, and then just a bad blank, like no angle shot on Swayman by like Bertuzzi, just eats it up, and it's just a shot on net, right? While the Bruins, less shots, but they were way more threatening. They were the cycle around the other zone. They weren't panicky. It wasn't running gun. They can move the puck behind the net, get it up to the point, move it to a guy down low, get a shot on net, and they feed it to the slot where they score with like the Brusco. And then also the bad defensive choices, which are going to be huge in this series, and another reason why the Maple Leafs are a team where I've never been too big of a fan of going into the playoffs. And it's just these kind of plays where that first goal for Beecher, right? The 2 Bruins guys, right? Hang on. And it's these bad defensive plays by the Toronto Maple Leafs that I think are going to show up over and over and over again, right? And it just shows like in a play like this, a simple play, being a defenseman of myself, a retired defenseman, not really, I would like to, anyways, blah, blah, blah. I've learned a lot of like defensive systems, right? And it's very basic hockey, and it's whether you pinch or you got to go back and play good defense backwards, right? And it's this type of decision where guys like McAvoy, guys like Quinn Hughes have the game down. And when you go down the lineup, this is where you have to worry by your third pairing if they're going to make the smart decision. And in this case, Toronto, does not make the smart decision. Because right here along the boards, the Bruins player, the O here, right? He's got the puck. He's going up the wing. Look at where the position of the Toronto players were in this goal, right? One here, defenseman in the middle here, and these two guys along the boards, right? An easy chip pass over to the defense, to the other Bruins player, allows them to go right down, have a 2-on-1 immediately. And this is stuff that is coached from Pee Wee to NHL, is to play those conservative games and sometimes make the less exciting game of going in for the attack, right? Being aggressive along the play, because sometimes it's worth the risk. But in the first period, I get that you want to get off to a hot start, but especially when you're going in and a team like Toronto knows that they're a less defensive team, and they can't take those kind of risks defensively, because immediately it has backfired against them multiple times this game. And that first pinch allows Beecher to go down the ice, and after Toronto started a little bit hot and it could have been an even game so far, maybe Matthews could squeak one in, get the first goal, and at least get that edge above them. Instead, they give up the weak first goal, an automatic 2-on-1, and Samsonov is not that goaltender to make that save, and Beecher puts it in the back of the net just because of a very, very simple setup play. A very simple defensive play that this defenseman needs to go back here, because this guy's going to be immediately off. The three forwards for Toronto, all above those guys, and there's going to be no catching them. It's an automatic 2-on-1 that they're going to score probably every time. And it's a perfect shot by Beecher, by the way. Amazing, this one-timer to get it past Samsonov. And that's what this game kept going like. And it should have been higher. That first period was very lucky for Toronto. There was the two posts, the Samsonov scrum a couple of times. And I know you watching this, being a Toronto fan or someone who's against Boston, you'll be like, oh, well, Matthews almost scored on empty net or whatever. Sure, almost. That was like their one time. That was their one try. And their other goal, I don't want to like give them like no credit. But the Kampf goal, like that's just a simple, just like get the play done, like just keep driving, chip, like the puck chips through. Like it's the kind of play that it just develops sometimes, right? And you can't blame Boston for sitting back in the third period. Started that one very weak after a very strong first and second period. But yeah, so very weak for the Bruins, but they immediately found their game again after that shift that was incredible by the Bruins in the third, and it just went back their way. So for me, right now, looking forward in this series, the Bruins just need to keep playing this game. And for me, there's the whole debate about who plays next, Swayman or Olmark, and they said that their system was to go back and forth. Personally, for me, especially against the Maple Leafs, Jeremy Swayman is currently, after playing the last 4 games, 5 goals against him. 4 games, 5 goals against. That's 12 periods. He's only been scored on 5 times. He has a .962 save percentage against the Maple Leafs. He is so comfortable against them. He needs to play. Needs to play every game, bar none. So, for me, the Bruins, they kind of just got to keep up this game. And I think they're going to. The Maple Leafs have got to find some sort of, like, real high-energy game and safer defensive plays. Because if these are the plays that they're going to keep playing against a team that is as loaded and deep as the Bruins, any line they give that to, especially if it's just, like, David Pastrnak, he doesn't even need another guy. That defenseman's going down with him, he's going to beat him. Or if it's him and Marchand going down the ice, but Pastrnak doesn't even need to pass it to Marchand, right? Beecher does, right? He's the one that needs to finish the one-on-one play. But that is going to lead to depth for any of those line against the Boston Bruins. And for Boston, still, like the defensive game, solid. Swayman, incredible. McAvoy, Lindholm, Carlo, Gristol, like the whole 9 yards, the whole 3 lines, incredible back there. For the Maple Leafs, they have to figure out how to score some goals. They need to figure out how to score some goals and also just be safer defensively. That is the biggest thing, is that they need to be safe defensively and find those games. Let the Bruins keep trying and maybe just frustrate them a little bit where they start taking those chances, where they can turn it around, Marner go down the ice and with Matthews and just get those goals, where they can get those 2-on-1s themselves or those 1-on-1s, maybe a breakaway, right? But without those kind of plays, if they try to match the Bruins in physicality or just defensive like back and forth play, they're going to lose. They need to let the Bruins make mistakes themselves, and I know that's hard for the Maple Leafs because they are definitely more of a run and gun, score goals, be the offensive lethal threat they are, being the second team and best scoring team in the league this year. But that is not what they're built for. And a good team that wins the Stanley Cup, that is what they can adapt to, is by just playing that kind of game, by changing their game up and actually play the way they're supposed to. And for me, the Maple Leafs, it's going to be tough for them to adjust, especially, and I can't finish this video without talking about William Nylander. Missing him in this series is going to suck for them. Because every single year where I think about make these videos, or before I made these videos, the one thing in the playoffs stuck. Where you could debate if Marner and Matthews are good in the playoffs, if Riley is, or Tavares is, just whatever, old hag, or is still a solid player. Whatever you want to debate, William Nylander was the constant good player. Nylander was the constant good playoff performer, and he is out. That is going to suck, and that really messes up the line. So that's another thing where the Maple Leafs did feel a little bit off tonight, where they did feel a little bit jumbled, and some guys didn't look right in some places, and that is going to really suck if that continues. And I don't know no one has a clue if Nylander comes back or not, but for right now, it seems like this is going to be a tough, like messy lines if they're going to have to roll with this. And for right now, I think this is a pretty good series for Boston. They win 1-0 with a very undoubting game, and I have good hopes for them. For Toronto, they can turn it around, but the adjustments they'll need to make seem unlikely. And that is all I got to say. So thank you for watching this. I'm sure if you're a Toronto fan, you hate me. Please tell me how much so down below. And if you're a Bruins fan, like the video and just be happy. And also, since you're here, please, I'm begging you, just subscribe. Please. I'm begging. Please. And until next time, too sweet. Have an amazing day. I hope you like the playoffs so far. I've enjoyed game day one. And that's all I gotta say. So, ta-ta for now.